Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Andrew at Microphonic Designs here at Brent Elementary School, doing the setup for Little Elm High School. Their main campus is having some construction work done on it, so they've moved a bunch of the band stuff, basically all the band operations, to another campus here in the district for the summer. Let's take a look at their setup, the documentation here. So here's our diagram. We've got this year 6 marimbas, 5 vibes in the back row, a xylophone, a main synth, and a secondary synth. And I actually got those swapped. This should be synth 1, and this should be synth 2, so I'll need to update that. And we'll talk about some of the synth updates that are coming soon. This layout is largely the same as it was last year. If you caught the 2024 Little Elm setup video, the main difference in the layout being that the xylophone was moved from the middle to the back row because they lost their 6th vibe. And so to even things out, they moved the xylophone to the back row. But we're still going to be miking that up. So you'll see here I've accounted for a couple of cables to come forward to this marimba, which is the one that we're on, which is the hub for the red snake. But let's take a look at the mixer as we normally do. And we'll take another look at the speakers as well. So here we have the TF3. This is the one that I've been borrowing for all of the tutorial videos. It is now back home. If you've caught some of those how-to videos on the Yamaha stuff, it's very much a big thanks to the Little Elm High School band program for allowing me to use this stuff for a little while for that. We've got channels for our 6 marimbas, our 5 vibraphones, and the xylophone is right there. I count that as a green because it's also got wood bars, you know. We've got our 2 synths, synth 1, synth 2, and then I've accounted for a pair of soloist mics, which is, I believe, a VP88 that is over on side 2. I don't actually know if they're going to be using that, but I've accounted for it, and we'll take a look at the cables for that soon. And then on input layer 2, I've got the channels for the ULXD wireless microphones, channels 1, 2, 3, and 4, because they do have a ULXD 4Q down here in the bottom. Now, this setup does make use of 2 of the Yamaha TO1608D stage boxes in the main synth cart, and we'll have a look at that specifically here in a minute. But all of these channels up here, so the first 24 channels are being fed from the TO boxes. So if we take a look at the input, for example, you'll see that it's being fed from the slot card, not the analog input in the back of the board. So all of these are being fed from the slot card, as well as the ULXD wireless channels. These are also being fed from the slot card. Well, you may be wondering, well, how are the wireless channels down here going to the stage box if these are in the mixer cart and the TO boxes, the stage boxes, or the digital snakes are in the synth cart? Well, the secret lies in the Dante network. So you'll see back here, turn the flashlight up a little bit, we've got the NY64D slot card, and in the secondary port is the this is where the ULXD 4Q wireless microphone receiver unit plugs into. So you'll see back here, I've actually got the 4Q. There's like a direct Dante, like Dante is built in to that device. And so we just have that cable coming out and connecting, and I had to do some modifications, some adjustments to the like default Dante network with Dante controller and the laptop. And I did do earlier today, I recorded a separate video on how I did that. But essentially what we have is a modified Dante network where these 4 channels, instead of receiving input from the TO boxes, they receive input from the Dante network being fed by this thing, which is really cool. So that eliminates the need for us to use 4 XLR cables, and it just goes straight into the board, and we're able to, with the use of the Dante network, we're able to have flexible routing however we need. The important thing with that was that I made sure to disable quick config mode in the mixer. So quick config is turned off to make sure that it maintains those settings now that I've done the adjustment. We also have the custom layer here, and this year I've sort of become a big fan of doing the whole DCA rollout thing. So like when I select the marimba DCA, you'll notice all 13 channels, including the xylophone, they roll out into these two banks. So I've got all 16 of these channels set to be rollouts for the DCAs, so that if we need to get to any particular subsection, we can do so quickly by just selecting the DCA, and then the rollout does that, which is awesome. So I've got this right-hand bank of faders set up with the 4 DCAs, the stereo inputs 1 and 2, the reverb level, the subwoofer level, and then of course the main output here. They do have one of my original versions of the active output panel, which you can purchase from me, by the way. I do make these, where we've got 4 XLR outputs, an EtherCon pass-through for the synthesizer, and for the stage boxes, and 2 PowerCon gray outlets that feed the speaker stacks. They have a pair of the regular Proco combo cables, the audio power combo cables, and I do make my own version of these, by the way, but they bought these before I started making them, so they've got the Proco version. And these go out to stacks of 2 of the Mackie DRM 12As. So we've got 2 of the DRM 12As, as well as a DRM 18S. And I love these speakers. I love them. They look good. They look just nice and beefy and loud. And so Little Elm bought these from me last year. So by the way, if you're looking for a fresh, speaker stacks, speaker package for your school, you can of course get in touch. I do have like pre-designed speaker packages for schools 1A through 6A and above. But this is what I got Little Elm set up with last year, including the Dynasty Titan E-frame. So if you've not seen this, these carts are designed to go up and down with the touch of a button, and they plug right in to the back into the power. So just like we need to provide power to the speakers, the cart can receive power. And an electronic cart like this, I think, makes some people a little bit nervous, because it's like, well, what if we don't have power? Well, if you're running these kind of speakers and you don't have power, well, then you're not going to have sound either. So it's sort of a non-issue in this instance. We've got a Pageantry Innovations distro blocks. This is the DB-EDS4. This is the quad outlet version. And for the DRM 12As, we actually have the PowerCon gray coming straight out of the end of the distro block and into the tops here. There we go, just like that. So the arrays receive power straight from that PowerCon outlet. We've got 2 more outlets. If we ever wanted to add center fills, for example, we could run them here. And then the sub down there. And this is kind of how I have the cables, so they can run their combo cables out to the cart. And you'll see just a little bit of cable management there. We've got the jumper cable here that goes from the bottom array to the top. And the other side, so this is the side 2 speaker stack, which I've color-coded blue and yellow. The other side, which is red and white, is the exact same. I just don't have that one plugged in right now. So that's a quick look at the speaker system. I did last year, I left in their P5000S amplifier with the thought of using this for center fills, but we didn't have quite the right field frame for their speakers. It was a little bit too big. So this is still in here if we want to try and add that later, but we haven't really had a need for it. So it's still in here, ready to go, but we haven't made use of it just yet. And you'll see I've still got the speak-on outputs there. They're just not labeled right now because we're not using them. And then we also have down here, just in storage, a pair of brand new 50-foot cables for the sideline microphones, color-coded green and yellow. And then the antenna for the wireless unit is in this box here. So by the way, Little Elm was able to purchase a completely brand new, fresh set of microphone cables and just, sound cables from me this year. So again, just like with the speakers, if you're looking for fresh cabling for your full ensemble, I do have cabling packages as well. So you can check out the website, microphonicdesigns.com. And on there, I've got a button that leads you to like audio system packages, and you can go down to the cable section, put in how many marimbas you have, how many vibes you have, and it'll spit out ideas on front ensemble layouts. And they all use the same type of diagrams I have here. And the benefit with those packages is that I will color code all of the cables for you, and the warranty is also really good. So like if a kid forgets to unplug and they rip out a cable, I will replace it for you for free with the correct color coding. So sales pitch aside, Little Elm got all fresh cabling. And as we start to look at the front ensemble here, we'll take another look at the diagram. Again, we've got 3 marimbas and the xylophone in sort of a pod. We've got marimbas 4, 5, 6, and the sideline mics in their own pod. And then all the vibraphones in the back are in their own as well. So we've got the red, the white, and the blue snake. Real easy to remember. And so for the first pod here, for red snake, you'll see, again, I love these pig hog cables. It's just super clean cabling all the way down. And of course, the same goes for the marimba that they had to pull aside earlier for a rehearsal. They had some practice today. We got the jumper cables coming over from marimba 1. We add the cables for this marimba, which is white, and we can't really see it because of the resonators, but that all sort of comes into the junction point down here to the modular snake. And then I've got the blue and double blue cables here for marimba 3, and the yellow is way over here on the side. There it is for the xylophone back there. So let's take a look at the xylophone just so that we can complete the look at the first pod here, the red snake. So here's the xylophone cable, real basic on this one, but I've got a whole separate 10-foot cable here connected that I grabbed an extra clamp for, that it can be prepped there, and that's just gonna go forward straight to here. So you'll notice I've laid the cables out where they make sense. The blue cables meet up there in the middle, and the yellow cable sticks out right here to signify that it should be receiving a cable from the back row. That's what's going on there. Let's take a look at the second pod. And you'll notice that the color coding on the second pod is the exact same. We've got red. This is for marimba 4. And again, that cabling goes across, keeping it clean. And then we add the jumper cables here. So again, real clean. We add white for marimba 5. There we are. And all of this comes down. It meets the modular snake. And then the mod snake goes back that way, which is the white snake. And I need to add a piece of colored tape to it. And then here we have the 4 connectors for marimba 6 and the stage. Let me get a little bit of a better angle here on that. Let's move this out of the way. So here you'll see I've grouped all of the single stripe cables together with a zip tie, and I've kept the double blue on its own to hopefully help signify to the performers, hey, this one is different, right? It's the same color as this because this is for marimba 6, but it does have 2 stripes, so it's different. And then the yellow and the green is for the stage mics. And then this keyboard, again, super basic, just keeping it clean, keeping everything in its lane, all the way down and all the way out. So if they decide to use that sideline microphone, they can plug into the end of this marimba and they'll be good to go. So that is the white snake. The reason that we're able to reuse the same color coding for these marimbas, red, white, blue, and then red, white, blue over that way, is because they're on completely different snakes. So the students that are on those marimbas are never gonna see the color coding on these, like unless they switch instruments or something, but that's the idea. And then vibraphones, everybody back here gets their own color. So going from Vibe 1 all the way to 5, we've got my color coding scheme: red, white, blue, yellow, green, and the cables just come in and they converge here to Vibe 3, which is where I put the mod snake. Now you'll notice on this one, I've put the mod snake, the blue snake, facing forward to this audience side because my thought process is, okay, we have a modular snake here and we've got a modular snake there. It would make sense to me to just have one person do both because the connectors, it's there and there. So they're real close to one another. So in an effort to reduce traffic and reduce the number of cables going everywhere, I wanted to see if I could have the same person do both of those. So I put this one on the front so they could get to it real easy. And this is how I've done the cables, right? Y'all know me. Here's the yellow and the green for vibes 4 and 5, and we just keep everything nice and neat and clean over the course of the frame here. So again, the cabling for these 5, it's just these 2 have cables going this way and they meet there, and then these two have cables coming this way and they meet there. So that's what we got going on for the vibes. Let's take a look at the synth stations. We've got 2 synthesizers. We've got the main cart here, which is the hub and the home of the TO boxes. We've got these set to quick config mode on, because I need these to be in quick config mode. And the top one is set to unit ID number 1, and the bottom one is set to unit ID number 2. And then we've got all 3 snakes. After the video, actually, I'm going to re-plug these just to be sure I did it correctly yesterday and to clean this up a little bit. And you'll see that I have these recessed a little bit to make sure that we have a comfortable amount of room for the connectors to not get squished by the door that goes on the front here. We've also got a Scarlett 18i20 because Little Elm is looking to switch over to, they're going to be trying main stage again. After several years of just using hardware synths, so they said, you know what, we're going to try main stage again. So I got them hooked up with this thing. This year, yes, the plan is to use the Montage 7 as the MIDI controller. Next year, maybe I'll talk to them about getting a secondary enclosed cart so that we can use the Montage as the standalone, and the Motif is the MIDI controller. So next year, we might talk about swapping these 2, but we're not trying to go crazy and change everything on them this year. And I definitely don't want this Montage being on the open frame. So that's just kind of where we're at. I know it's a little silly to use something as beefy as a Montage as a MIDI controller, but that's what we're gonna do. That one's primarily for, like, you know, sub bass, low brass reinforcement. But next year we'll maybe look at swapping those around. And what's also super cool is that we, MD, are going to be doing the sound design for them as well. So my right-hand guy, Aaron Tucker, is going to be getting the files and all of that stuff for them in early July so that he can get started on the sound effects and, you know, soundscapes and all that stuff, which is super cool. So that's what we have going on here. So I've got an extra set of the 1/4 inch to XLR cables for them ready to go just in case. So we got extras. And right now I've got the outputs from the Montage 7 disconnected and the cables that are hooked in here. So these are the synth cables coming from this. So if they need to rehearse for a little while before they actually get the main stage file, they can simply disconnect the 1/4 inch cables in the back of this thing and plug them into output, the left and right outputs from the Montage. So that's what we have going on. And then as far as the Motif station here, this is real straightforward. We've got 2 outputs, the left and the right, that I've color-coded blue and yellow. And normally I don't do that. Y'all know normally I do a single stripe, double stripe. But in this case, since this is the only synth that we really have to worry about plugging in every single day, I've gone ahead and done 2 different colors just to make it that much easier and clear as to what needs to go where. We've got those coming to a DI box. And then a little bit of cable management here on the side where the cables just kind of dangle and then they meet right there. So that's really it. And then the last thing that we kind of have to worry about when we get back over to the high school campus is just power distribution back here. I know for sure we're going to be running another power cord from the mixer cart back to here into the outlet there, and then we need to figure out how to get this cart plugged in with a power strip somehow. But a lot of that stuff is still at the high school campus and is at least easy enough to figure out, you know, like for the first few days of parent camp, that I'm not too worried about it. So that's what's going on. And then yeah, so kind of a big setup. This is a little bit of a longer walkthrough. It usually ends up being a bit of a longer walkthrough because there are some like custom things that I end up doing for them, like the Dante network adjustment stuff, and they've just got a lot of instruments. I mean, 6 marimbas, 5 vibes, Xylo, we mic everything, 2 synths that one of them we're converting to a main stage rig, and then of course the awesome speaker stacks and everything. Last year it took me and Wendy I think like 2 full days to get everything set up because the speakers and stuff were brand new. This year I also split the job up between 2 days, and I had Lainey help me out. So if you've caught some of the videos from earlier this season, Lainey was here yesterday. She got all of the, I haven't touched a single piece of tape for this entire job, Lainey got all the color coding done for me, which meant that I was able to do, you know, a really thorough job with getting the cables zip tied to all the instruments. And then today was sort of getting everything plugged in, getting the Dante network stuff figured out, making sure the wireless was good, making sure that everything was coming in correctly. And we are now all set and ready to go for band camp. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. The video is now 20 minutes long. If you've made it this far, thanks so much for sticking around. Drop any questions or comments below. I'm curious if you've ever used like the Dante stuff and had to make adjustments for it. It doesn't happen often. Usually for marching bands, the quick config mode is plenty, but occasionally when we've got like really nice stuff like this Shure ULXD quad unit, we can utilize some of those more advanced tools to make it a little bit easier for the team here at Little Elm during the season. So until next time, y'all, take care. Peace.